Welcome, traveler of time. The day has quieted, the light has softened, and you've found a small harbor of stillness where the mind can float free. Take a slow breath in and let it fall outward again, gentle as mist leaving the sea. Feel your body settle, every muscle finding its own place to rest. Shoulders drift lower. The spine lengthens just a little, like a river reaching toward calm water. There's nothing left to do now except breathe, listen, and dream. Tonight we will wander far, far backward, so far that history itself becomes soft around the edges. We will step through time's quiet corridors until the clocks dissolve and the air itself feels new. We are going to visit the Earth as it was hundreds of millions of years ago, a world without cities, without the hum of engines, without even the familiar faces of mountains you might know today. It was a living canvas painted in greens and blues, far richer than memory can hold. The age of dinosaurs, a time when the planet breathed in wider rhythms and everything that moved did so with the patience of eternity. Let your breath find that patience now. Inhale through the nose, a slow count of 4. Hold for just a moment, then release, easy and quiet. The space around you loosens, the space inside you opens. The two become the same. Imagine now that the air around you changes temperature. Just a little, it warms, filled with a sweetness you can almost taste, like resin from unseen trees. Light filters through a haze not of pollution, but of life. Tiny spores, invisible pollen, the fine dust of a living planet at its peak. Somewhere nearby, the steady rhythm of waves touches a shoreline, but the smell is not salt, it is clean clay and fern. You have begun the drift backward. As you breathe, the years unravel. The present fades behind soft curtains of mist, and beneath you, continents shift like dreaming animals. Land masses that once were separate draw together. Oceans rise and fall, their boundaries rearranging like sighs. The air thickens, filled with oxygen enough to make everything grow larger, slower, stronger. The hum of insects deepens to a chorus. Leaves unfold to impossible sizes. You are crossing into the Mesozoic, the long, slow heartbeat of Earth between 250 and 65 million years ago. In this dream of ancient light, the sun looks the same but feels gentler. Its warmth is filtered through thicker air. Colors bend differently here. Greens lean toward jade, blues toward turquoise, and every shadow holds a touch of gold. You hover for a moment high above a supercontinent called Pangaea. Below, its shape curves like a single immense hand, holding oceans on every side. No ice caps, no human trace, only forest and plain and endless sky. Clouds climb higher here, built on heat alone. Storms rise from inland lakes and wander for weeks across continents. Their thunder rolls through forests that will one day become stone. The earth is younger, yet older somehow, its voice deeper, slower. As you drift lower, the air begins to sing, not with machines, but with life. In the distance, something moves. Not a car, not a plane, but a ripple through ferns as tall as houses. Leaves part, and you glimpse the first shadows of giants. Their movements are deliberate, as though gravity itself is thicker in this time. Their skin glows with dust and sun. Their breath steams in morning light. The age of dinosaurs is awake. Let yourself drift closer, slowly, without sound. The forest opens into a clearing rimmed with tree ferns and cycads. Plants older than memory, their fronds spiraling outward like green galaxies. A gentle wind moves through them, whispering in a language the earth has since forgotten. The air smells of damp soil, fresh rain, and distant fire. This is how morning began in the Jurassic. You step softly through the undergrowth. The ground is warm, still breathing from volcanic heartbeats far below. Here and there, steam rises where water meets rock, and each droplet holds a rainbow too faint to catch. In the canopy above, insects hum like silver strings, and in the distance, a deep resonant call vibrates through the trees. Low, steady, not threatening, simply present. the voice of a giant herbivore greeting the day. Pause. Listen. Your own heartbeat falls into rhythm with it. Slow, round, deliberate. You are not an intruder here. You are part of the pattern. This is the earth dreaming itself into form, and you are invited to wander through its thought. Now the forest opens wider, revealing a river broad and calm. Mist lifts from its surface like pale silk. At the far bank, a group of sauropods, long-necked, graceful giants, move in slow procession through the shallows. Each step sends ripples spreading in perfect circles. Their tails drift behind them like soft banners, their skin patterned with sunlight filtered through leaves. When they breathe, you can see the air move. When they turn their massive heads, the world itself seems to follow. There is no fear here, only scale and the quiet dignity of a species built for forever. You sit on a rock by the water's edge. The stone is warm, and the warmth moves through your body like kindness. A dragonfly the size of your hand drifts past, its wings scattering rainbows. The sound of its flight is barely a whisper. It lands nearby, folds its wings, and the air becomes perfectly still. This stillness has weight. It is not emptiness. It is fullness waiting. In it you can hear the faint creak of trees, the lap of water against stone, the hush of scales sliding through reeds somewhere unseen. You breathe it in, and for a moment you understand that time itself has texture. It can be soft. It can hold you. From far away comes another sound, a low rumble that seems at first to be thunder, but the sky is clear. The rumble grows, becomes rhythm, becomes footsteps. Across the river, trees sway, and through them comes a creature covered in color that shifts, like sunlight through leaves. A theropod, large but not hunting, moves with the grace of something that knows its strength. Its eyes are gold and calm. For a heartbeat, it meets your gaze, and in that meeting there is no menace, only recognition. You both belong to the same planet, differently but equally. Then it turns, disappears into green light, leaving only silence behind, and that silence feels like a gift. Stay with the feeling a moment longer. The air is thick with peace. Every breath draws more of it in. You can taste the minerals of ancient water, feel the hum of the ground beneath you, hear the chorus of unseen lives unfolding all around. This is what the earth once sounded like. Before human thought, before noise, before hurry. A planet perfectly unashamed of its own breathing. You rise and begin to walk along the riverbank. Your steps are soft. They leave no mark. The path curves through clusters of ancient plants. Horsetails taller than you. Cycads coiling upward like green smoke. Beetles move lazily along their stems. A breeze carries the scent of resin and faraway rain. Above you, the sky shifts from jade to soft grey. A storm is building somewhere beyond the horizon, but here it only adds to the calm. The promise of thunder without its threat. You find a hollow between roots and rest there. The air grows cooler. Rain begins to fall in droplets wide and slow, each one landing with a tiny hiss on warm earth. Within minutes, the sound becomes a lullaby. A rain older than rivers, falling on leaves older than time. You close your eyes and let it wash through you. Each drop carries away another small piece of wakefulness. Your breath becomes part of the storm. Your heartbeat joins the planets. When the rain ends, a soft light returns. Everything smells alive. Everything shines with renewed gentleness. Steam lifts from the river, curling upward like thoughts leaving the body. You stand again, lighter, quieter, ready to walk deeper. The forest ahead waits with infinite patience. You step forward, and the sound of your movement disappears into birdsong and breeze. The air around you warms as centuries begin to turn, like the slow pages of a book. The light grows deeper, greener, more certain of itself. You are moving through time without effort, drifting from the early hush of the Triassic into the full breath of the Jurassic. The forest opens wider now. The trees are taller, their leaves like open hands gathering sunlight. Ferns unfurl in great spirals along the forest floor, and vines hang like long sighs from the branches. You pause for a breath. The air tastes of sap and rain. Each inhale feels like drinking color. Each exhale feels like releasing centuries. The ground beneath you trembles faintly, far off, a sound like surf but lower, slower. When it reaches you, you understand. It is the movement of the great ones, the long-necked creatures that live among the rivers. They walk not as beasts but as parts of the earth itself. Their tails draw lines through air that do not fade. You walk toward the sound. The forest thins into a plain of grass that brushes your knees. Ahead, the silhouettes of sauropods graze among the trees, their necks sweeping back and forth like slow pendulums. They move through sunlight in such steady rhythm that the world seems to breathe with them. Around their feet, smaller dinosaurs pick through fallen leaves, quick and careful as birds. Their feathers catch the light, iridescent blues and greens that pulse like the shimmer on water. You stand still. The wind passes over you and brings their smell, warm, earthy, full of life. Somewhere behind you, a stream murmurs over stones. Everything here has a pulse, and the pulse is unhurried. The days in this age are long. The sun lingers higher, and when it sets, it paints the sky in bands of copper and lavender. Even the stars take their time to appear. You lie down in the tall grass as dusk deepens. Insects sing with steady patience. Above you, a single pterosaur glides, its wings whispering against the darkening air. It circles once, twice, then vanishes toward the sea. The first stars blink awake, faint and gold. You breathe in their coolness, feel the body grow heavier in the calm. Time drifts forward again, and the scene softens. You are standing at the edge of an inland sea. The water lies still as glass, tinted green from the sky. Along the shore, cicads cluster, their crowns mirrored perfectly on the surface. Far out, shapes move beneath the water, long shadows that roll and turn like drifting clouds. They are the marine reptiles, their fins slicing arcs of silence. Occasionally one rises, the curve of its back gleaming for a heartbeat, before it sinks again. The air smells faintly of salt and ancient algae. A breeze brushes across your face. It carries warmth and the cry of something distant. You follow the sound until you reach a ridge overlooking the plains. Below, the land spreads like a painted scroll. Rivers glitter. Forests gather in dark ribbons. Mountains sleep at the horizon. Overhead, a cloud of pterosaurs wheels slowly, their shadows slipping across the ground like calm waves. You imagine what it must be to live in such balance, to eat when hunger arrives, to rest when night returns, to know the world without need of thought. You breathe that simplicity in. You let it move through you like a slow current. The night comes quickly. The stars over the Jurassic world are vast and close. You can see the Milky Way drawn with impossible clarity, every spark a quiet witness. Somewhere among them is the sun of your own time, though it burns the same now as then. You realize that you have not left the present, you've only widened it. The forest hums again in morning. Dew collects on leaves large enough to shelter you. The ground steams faintly where night's cool met the day's first light. In a clearing, you see a family of stegosaurs moving through ferns, their plates catching the sun in rhythmic flashes. When they stop to feed, you hear the soft crunch of leaves, the breath between each movement. Birds, small, quick, feathered descendants of others yet to come, hop along their backs, picking insects. The scene feels older than time, yet completely alive. You walk among them. The earth beneath your feet is damp and rich. Each footprint fills slowly with water, a temporary mirror. Somewhere nearby, a river winds between volcanic hills. Its water is warm from the planet's interior. When you touch it, steam rises against your palm. The scent of minerals drifts upward, iron, sulfur, stone. Even in the age of giants, the earth never stops creating. As you wander farther, you reach the slopes of a volcano asleep in morning light. Its flanks are draped in green, its summit veiled in gentle smoke. Occasionally, a low rumble rolls from deep within, not angry but steady, a heartbeat. Around its base, forests thrive on the nutrients the mountain offers. Life and fire have made peace here. You pause to watch a herd of small herbivores graze on the lower slopes. They move together, every motion unhurried. The mountain breathes, they breathe, you breathe. You climb a little, following a path of pumice and moss until you reach a ledge overlooking the valley. From here you can see the vast mosaic of life stretching to the horizon. Lakes shining, forests rolling, herds moving like rivers of color. This is Earth in full bloom, young, powerful, tranquil. You feel it move beneath you, the slow drift of plates, the deep churn of magma, the whisper of continents changing shape. None of it is violent from here. It is the rhythm of a heart too large to measure. You close your eyes and listen. For a moment it sounds like the inside of a shell, the endless hush of tide and wind combined. You realize it is the planet itself you hear, its pulse, its endless lullaby. Stay in that sound. Let your breath fall into its measure. Inhale, rise of continents. Exhale, fall of rain. Inhale, growth of forest. Exhale, rest of night. The balance is perfect and you are inside it. Far off thunder murmurs, and clouds climb the sky in tall white towers. Rain begins again, warm and slow. The drops strike the leaves and fill the air with scent. Somewhere below, the great creatures raise their heads, blinking at the first cool touch. They do not run, they accept. When the storm passes, steam lifts from the ground, wrapping the world in silver fog. Out of that fog come the calls of life renewed. You walk until you find a grove where the trunks of trees are wide as rooms. The light filters through in columns of green and gold. Ferns reach for your knees. The air hums with insects. The smell of resin is thick. You rest your hand on a trunk and feel vibration. The faint movement of sap rising, the same rhythm as the sea. Everything living in this world shares the same pulse, the same quiet purpose, to be and to continue. Time slides forward again. The ground beneath you tilts, the continents moving apart. The sound changes. The air feels different. You have entered the Cretaceous now, the last act of the dinosaurs' long story. The forest grows denser, more colorful. Flowers appear for the first time, shyly opening under the sun. Their petals are pale yellow, pink, white. Bees, small and iridescent, move among them. The air smells sweeter. You follow a path down toward a coastal plain. Warm wind carries the cry of seabirds. Here the giants of the sea rise to breathe, mosasaurs, enormous and graceful, their scales glinting beneath the waves. Along the shore, turtles, bask on sand that gleams like bronze. The horizon is wide, curving softly beneath a pale sky. Above, winged reptiles wheel and dive. Some are tiny, some enormous. They ride the warm currents of air with effortless grace. Their wings flash silver in the sun, and when they pass overhead, they leave only a sigh of wind. You watch them for a long while, hypnotized by the calm precision of their flight. Far inland, herds of horned dinosaurs move across open grasslands. Their frills catch the light like shields of polished stone. Young ones stay near the center, guarded by the slow, patient circle of adults. They move in silence, leaving a path of flattened grass that gleams behind them. The air shimmers with heat, and the scent of blooming plants floats in waves. You pause again, feeling the world around you expand. Every sound, the creak of branches, the whisper of wings, the murmur of distant surf, joins into one slow chord. The chord deepens until it becomes silence again. You realize that all this motion, all this history, all these lives exist inside a single endless breath. Stay there, at that edge of understanding. Let it settle behind your ribs like warmth. The age of dinosaurs is not only an age of creatures, it is the earth itself, breathing in and out, remembering how to live. Dawn returns, low and golden. The air has changed again, lighter, fragrant with the sweetness of new blossoms. You have drifted forward to a later chapter of the Cretaceous world, when the planet has learned color. Everywhere you look, there are flowers, Pale yellows scatter across clearings, violet cups tremble on stems, red bursts open against ferns as if the ground itself has begun to dream in pigments. Bees move through the air like living jewels, their hum soft and certain. The sound is steady enough to slow the pulse. You walk among these first gardens. The light comes through branches of flowering trees, dappling the path in pools of gold. A breeze passes carrying a faint perfume of resin and pollen, warm and heavy. Breathing it feels like drinking honeyed air. Each breath loosens you further. Shoulders sink, eyes half close. The body remembers what it is to be part of the weather. Beyond the trees, you hear the rhythmic wash of waves. The sea is close, a shallow inland ocean stretching where the plains once lay. It glitters under high sun, green and silver, its surface as smooth as breath on glass. Long-necked plesiosaurs rise and fall beyond the breakers, their small heads gliding through light. Near the shore, clusters of ammonites move slowly, their shells catching color like pearls. They drift with the tide, patient as the century. You sit on the sand. It is fine and warm, made of ground coral and crushed shells. Tiny crabs scuttle by, each leaving a delicate pattern behind. The sound of the sea fills everything, steady, even, endless. You let it enter you, the same rhythm again. Inhale as the wave arrives, exhale as it retreats. The planet's oldest music. Inland, storms gather. The heat rises through the afternoon, building clouds that tower white against blue. When they break, rain sweeps across forest and field in curtains of silver. Lightning ripples far away, too distant for fear. Thunder rolls like a deep drum, and every tree seems to breathe with it. The air cools, the scent of wet earth climbs upward, rich and mineral. Ferns bow under the drops and rise again shining. As the rain eases, steam lifts from the ground. Sunlight returns, pale and tender. You follow a small stream that winds from the forest into open plain. It leads you to a herd of triceratops grazing among cycads. Their frilled heads move slowly from side to side. Each horn glows faintly in the damp light. When one lifts its face, rainwater spills down its crest in quiet lines. There is no menace here, only patience. You watch them breathe clouds into the cooling air, their every motion deliberate and calm. Nearby, tall duck-billed hadrosaurs feed on branches that sway under their weight. Their calls are low and musical, resonating through the valley, like woodwind beneath the rustle of leaves. When they pause, the silence that follows is round and full, a silence you can rest in. You feel yourself drifting closer to the rhythm of their lives. Feed, rest, breathe, repeat. Nothing more is required. Evening slides down the sky. The last light finds a flock of small, feathered dinosaurs perched in the trees. They preen each other quietly, tiny sparks of red and green plumage among the branches. Their eyes gleam like polished amber. When darkness settles, they tuck their heads beneath their wings and vanish into sleep. The forest exhales with them, and night begins its slow conversation. The stars above this ancient earth are brighter, nearer, untouched by city haze. The Milky Way spills across the sky in white rivers. Fireflies rise from the undergrowth, answering the constellations with their own soft code. Somewhere in the distance, a single predator calls, a long descending note that vibrates through bone and ground alike. It fades, leaving the night whole again. You lie back on the moss, watching the sky breathe. Each flicker of starlight feels like a heartbeat from a distant friend. The longer you watch, the slower they seem to pulse, until the difference between watching and dreaming disappears. Morning returns in gradual layers, birds first, then wind, then the pale gold of sun through mist. The world smells of wet leaves and fern sap. You rise and walk toward higher ground. From the ridge you see far into the distance, rivers twisting like silver threads, forests spreading in endless green, herds moving like thoughts through grass. Volcanoes line the horizon, each one a slow column of smoke. Their ash feeds the soil, their warmth feeds the air. Even destruction here is part of balance. You rest on the ridge. The earth beneath is warm from buried fire. You press your palm against it and feel a hum, faint but constant. Deep below, molten stone is moving, the same energy that will one day raise new continents. You understand now that every age of this planet is a heartbeat, and you are hearing one of its strongest. The pulse is slow, and you match it easily. As you sit, small creatures emerge from the undergrowth. Mammals, soft-furred and cautious. They move with quick steps, pause, listen, then move again. Their eyes shine with quiet intelligence. They do not know what the future will bring, yet they prepare for it in every breath. Life, even here among giants, is always waiting for the next light. Clouds drift again across the sun. The temperature dips, and a fine mist spreads through the valley. You walk into it, the air cool against your face. Shapes blur, colors blend, and every edge becomes gentle. Time itself feels like mist, thick enough to touch, light enough to breathe. You can almost feel the centuries turning in the air around you, each one folding softly into the next. Through the haze, you glimpse the silhouettes of tall trees swaying. Their branches glitter with moisture. Raindrops fall now and then, each one loud in the hush. Somewhere nearby, a stream has widened into a pool. You kneel beside it. The surface is still, holding the reflection of the sky. When a leaf falls, it drifts, circles, and finally sinks without sound. Watching it, you realize that this is how ages pass, quietly, naturally, beautifully. Night approaches once more. The western sky turns coral, then deep violet. Flocks of pterosaurs cross the light, wings stretched like sails. They head toward cliffs that gleam faintly in the setting sun. You follow them until the ground slopes down toward the sea again. The water glows with the last color of day. Waves rise and fall with measured grace. You step to the edge and let the cool spray touch your skin, the taste of salt and time. The horizon darkens, but the line between water and sky never quite disappears. They blend, endless and even. Stars begin to show again, reflected in the calm surface until you can't tell which are above and which are below. You breathe the same air the dinosaurs breathe, the same oxygen that once made them grow immense, the same elements that now flow through you. Connection, not distance. You stay there, watching, until the night deepens completely. In that darkness, the planet feels infinite, and your mind settles into its rhythm. Slow, circular, kind. Dawn arrives in tones of amber and pearl. Mist lies along the valleys, folding every hill in gentle gauze. The air is softer now, scented faintly of blossoms and damp stone. You are standing on a high plain where grass has begun to replace fern. The blades sway in long waves. Dew gathers, catches the first light, and scatters it in thousands of quiet suns. Nothing hurries. Even the wind seems to hesitate before passing through. In the distance, a ridge rises, low, rounded, old. On its slopes, forests breathe mist from their crowns. Beyond them, rivers thread the plain, each one shining like molten glass. You begin to walk, and the sound of your steps is swallowed at once by the grass. Somewhere nearby, a trill of insects starts, steady and soft as a heartbeat. The rhythm pulls you forward. At the edge of the forest, light changes again. It grows green and deep, filtered through enormous leaves. Lianas hang from branches. Flowers bloom along their length in slow spirals of crimson and white. The air here is warm and wet, heavy enough that you can almost feel it moving against your skin. Water drips from every surface, each drop falling in time so perfect it feels deliberate. From the shadows, a pair of small dinosaurs emerge. Feathered, bright-eyed, their movements quick but unthreatened. They chase each other in circles around a fallen log, claws tapping softly on damp bark. Their laughter, if such a word can be used, is the click of happiness in miniature. They vanish into ferns, and silence returns exactly as it was. Deeper in the forest, the ground opens into a glade of light. Ferns part, and you see the great ones again, herbivores grazing under the canopy, tails sweeping arcs through the air. Their skin gleams in hues of soft gold and olive, patterned like sunlight through leaves. A young one leans against the trunk of a tree, closing its eyes for a moment, and the world holds its breath in kindness. You walk among them without sound, One lifts its head curious, eyes deep and calm. There is no fear, only the slow acknowledgement that everything alive here belongs. The creature lowers its head again and returns to feeding. You move on, surrounded by the hush of shared peace. Farther ahead, the forest thins, and the sea appears again, shining beneath a wide sky. This is a different ocean, broader, deeper, restless beneath its calm face. Waves roll against cliffs of chalk that glow white as bone. Each break of water leaves a new whisper on the wind. You climb the slope until you can see the horizon. The line between sea and air is blurred by heat, endless blue upon blue. Above that horizon, small birds ride the currents. Their shapes are familiar, their wings curve like those that will one day fill future skies. They call to one another with notes that echo faintly of home. The age is ending, but no, On here knows it. Life continues, graceful and complete, unaware of its own fragility. You sit at the cliff's edge. The stone is warm beneath your hands. Beneath the surface, the sea roars softly, steady as breath. A faint vibration travels through the rock and into your bones. It feels like the heartbeat of the planet, deep and enduring. You let it anchor you. Afternoon arrives. Clouds drift inland from the sea. Long white ships moving in silence. Their shadows cross forests and plains, painting everything with slow waves of shade. In one of those shadows, a herd of horned dinosaurs moves toward the coast. They travel in patient procession, mothers and young, the rhythm of hooves like distant rain. The air trembles with their passage, but the sound is steady, not loud. They stop at a river mouth where fresh water meets salt. The youngest kneel to drink, their reflections wavering in the current. Behind them, the older ones watch the horizon. You can almost feel the conversation between them, an instinct older than language, the quiet coordination of safety and care. You stay until the herd moves on, their tracks filling slowly with water as the tide rises. The light changes again. It becomes the color of amber seen through honey. The world is gold, every leaf rimmed in fire. Even the insects glow as they move. The sun hangs low, immense and tender. For a long moment, everything pauses. Wind, birds, breath. Then night begins to grow from the east. When darkness comes, it comes gently. A single star appears over the sea, then another, then hundreds, until the whole sky blooms. The constellations are strange, their shapes new. You realize that this sky is still learning its design. The moon rises late, full and luminous, pulling the tide into long, smooth sighs. The waves gleam with pale light, and the cliffs answer with quiet echoes. You rest there, lying on warm stone. The smell of salt and fern mixes with night air. Somewhere in the distance, creatures call across the water, deep, resonant, ancient songs of presence. The sound reaches you through layers of wind and time until it feels less like hearing and more like remembering. You close your eyes. Inside the darkness, you see the slow drift of continents, the quiet pulse of magma beneath the crust, the endless respiration of forests. Millions of years turn beneath your thoughts like pages of a book you've already read. Every chapter is life learning a new word for endurance. Time shifts again, barely perceptible. The air cools, the stars wheel slightly. You sense change coming, not with fear, but with understanding. The earth is preparing for another breath, another transformation. Far away, a flicker of light crosses the sky, small and transient, like a falling star. It disappears beyond the horizon. The night remains peaceful. You inhale. The air fills you, calm and complete. You exhale. The tension of epochs leaves your body. Everything is quiet once more. Morning opens like a shell, pale and iridescent. Mist lingers over the shallows, reeds wear beads of water along every blade. You stand where river meets sea, and the tide is almost still. A held breath before another long exhale. Birds skim the surface, touching it with wingtips that leave brief silver lines. Behind them, dunes rise in gentle folds, stitched with grasses that whisper whenever wind remembers them. Far inland, a warm haze touches the forests. Flowers glow under their own small suns. Bees hum a patient paragraph from bloom to bloom. Herds move, unhurried, along familiar routes. Horns bright in the light, young ones tucked safely within the circle of bodies. A choreography as old as rain. You drift above the trees and watch the world as a single rhythm. Breath of ocean, rise of heat, slow procession of clouds, the steady turning that has kept its promise for millions of years. If there is change coming, it arrives first as a feeling with no sharp edges, an almost imperceptible thinning in the air, a quietness that asks to be heard without asking for alarm. By afternoon, cloud tops build in tall, soft towers. Sunlight filters through, warm as honey, gentle as memory. Along the shore, marine reptiles roll through green water, their backs slicing crescents of calm. Each time they surface, their breathing sounds like the sea remembering your name. You match that breathing without trying. Toward evening, the western sky acquires a faint additional brightness, a small thread of light high above the horizon, delicate at first, the way a new star suggests itself tonight. It draws a subtle line across the upper air and passes from sight beyond distant cloud. The world takes note the way a sleeper shifts upon the pillow. Not fear, not pain, only a deeper settling. Night arrives with its familiar tenderness. Stars pour themselves across the sky. The Milky Way lays a path of milk-white dust over the dark. Waves tap the shore with ceremonial patience. Somewhere a chorus starts, frogs perhaps or night insects, and the sound is so even, so careful, that your pulse answers it. Far away, the horizon develops a low blush, as if dawn has lost its way and come early. It is dim and widely spread, the color of embers breathing under ash. The wind shifts. A faint, fine powder begins to drift from heights beyond seeing, no heavier than the thought you are ready to release. It settles upon leaves, upon water, upon the quiet roofs of fern and flower. The forest listens. You listen. Everything is listening together. In the days that follow, light softens. The sun stands behind a veil that turns noon to an exquisite permanent morning. Temperatures ease, shadows blur, the air grows hushed as a chapel. Leaves close a little earlier, and the wide herds travel by rivers that remember every bend. The sea, ever a keeper of secrets, keeps its voice level and low. Some birds alter their paths, moving nearer to coast and lake. They choose sheltered cliffs, caves of chalk, trees beside water. They fold themselves into patience and teach their young a quiet no book contains. Mammals remain in understory and burrow, their hearts like small drums beating a slow, brave meter in the dark. Every breath is measured, every motion is kind. Ash settles in thin, pale layers, a snowfall of stone that writes the same word again and again. Rest. It coats the surface of ponds until the next rain lifts it and lays it somewhere else. It softens sound, dresses edges, makes the world for a little while even more like a dream. You walk through it and leave no trace. There are hours of pearl grey light when the sky and the sea seem to trade places. Waves wear the color of cloud. Clouds carry the long, slow curves of waves. In those hours, time loosens its laces. You can slip a hand between moments and find only peace. From this space, you see the planet's deeper will. To continue, to compose, to cradle life in new forms when the old ones bow. Rain comes, very gentle, like a blessing spoken in a language only water knows. It rinses leaf and feather, pool and stone. It draws delicate rivers down the trunks of cycads and sends them quietly to ground. The ash becomes history the instant it touches the soil, folded into layers that will one day tell a story to careful hands. Even change, even endings are welcomed into the archive of calm. In a sheltered hollow, a fern garden breathes out coolness. A tiny mammal, curious and precise, noses among leaf stems for seeds and fallen berries. Its whiskers tremble at the smallest draft. Its eyes reflect the whole canopy in miniature. It pauses, listening to the weather of the understory, then curls into the curve of a root and closes its eyes. Sleep accepts it instantly, and with it, 1,000 futures. Across the plain, herds grow still beneath a sky of silk. Mouths stop, heads lower, breathers breathe. The earth takes one long, collective inhale, and the exhale lasts for years. Forests age gracefully all at once. Flowers give their last season's color to seed. Rivers adopt a quieter channel and carry stories forward. Grain by grain, you rise above continents and see them as patient animals resting. The spine of a mountain curled like a sleeping cat, the broad shoulder of a plateau, the long limb of a peninsula extended toward its ocean. Under cloud, volcanoes glow with an inward sunset, a reminder that the lamp beneath the crust never goes out. Fire waits as winter waits. Both are forms of promise. Then, little by little, light returns. The veil thins. Skies regain their deep blue, the color of wells. Rains come stronger, rinsing the last of the fine dust into braided streams that flash silver at noon. On clean ground, the first green points appear. Mosses, shoots, the handwriting of rebirth. Birds test the air with careful notes. Insects write delicate cursive above the grass. Life steps forward the way dawn steps into a room. Soft-footed, sure, saying nothing. Of the distances it has traveled. Some forms do not return, and the absence they leave is woven respectfully into the fabric of days. Other forms widen into the quiet space, finding sunlight meant for them, learning new rhythms, new shelter, new songs. Continuity does its work with infinite gentleness. You drift low over a river at evening. Its surface carries two skies, the one above you and the one just beneath. Fish turn like coins in a pocket of light. A bird skims and lifts, leaving a perfect letter on the water that vanishes as soon as it is read. You breathe and feel the body agree with everything, with the silken drag of current around stones, with the reed that leans and writes itself, with the way a dragonfly stops and simply is. Night gathers once more, clear and generous. Constellations have rearranged themselves by a whisper. You recognize them anyway. The moon hangs a little closer than you remember, its light turning fields to parchment and rivers to ink. Crickets begin their work. A breeze opens the pages. The planet writes. Above the sleeping land, you hover at the seam between chapters. The age of dinosaurs has given its long, beautiful breath back to time. The air is ready for other names, other footsteps, other songs. There is no hurry. There is only the perfect patience of a world that keeps its appointments with dawn. You close your eyes and feel that patience enter you. It loosens the last threads of wakefulness, lays them neatly beside your pillow of thought, and smooths the blanket of the dark. Each inhale arrives like a tide that knows the shore by heart. Each exhale leaves as softly as falling ash upon water. The earth turns, one more notch, one more kindness. You turn with it, weightless and welcome, drifting toward the quiet shore of rest. The air feels weightless now. The sounds that filled the world, bird calls, the slow breathing of the sea, the sigh of trees, fade into a single tone of calm. You are floating just above the planet, between night and the first suggestion of dawn. Below you, the continents gleam faintly under mist. The oceans hold silver fire beneath their skins. The world looks at peace, wrapped in the blanket it has made for itself across eons. You drift lower through thin veils of cloud. The moisture on your skin feels cool and clean, carrying the scent of everything that has ever lived. Each droplet holds a memory. The steam of a Triassic forest, the rain that fell on the scales of a brachiosaur, the mist that once hid the sleeping wings of pterosaurs on sea cliffs. All those lives, all those days, gathered now into the same quiet air that fills your lungs. Inhale. The planet's entire story fits inside a single breath. Exhale. The story continues without needing to be told. Below, rivers glow faintly in moonlight. They curve across plains like slow handwriting, messages sent through time, carrying the sediment of vanished ages. Mountains stand where oceans once lay, their peaks wearing clouds like shawls, and in the hollows life begins again, small shapes stirring in darkness, roots finding their way through ash, insects testing new wings against the cool air of tomorrow. You hover a moment longer, then descend. The ground meets you like an embrace. You are standing on soil that has learned patience through fire and frost alike. Every grain here has known the weight of thunder lizards, the fall of endless rain, the slow kiss of ice, and the warmth of a million suns. It remembers everything, but it carries nothing heavy. You touch it, and that peace seeps into your skin. Wind moves gently through new grass. The grass bends and whispers a language without edges, a lullaby made of green light. Each blade catches dew and returns it to the sky in shimmering sighs. The air smells of renewal, wet earth, pollen, the soft musk of unseen flowers. Somewhere a river murmurs against its stones. Its rhythm is your pulse, steady and kind. You walk along its edge. The water is so clear you can see time itself layered below. Sand from vanished shores, minerals from mountains long gone. The shimmer of beginnings. Small fish drift in and out of view, each one a flicker of possibility. They move the way thoughts move when the mind has stopped trying to control them. Freely, easily, always, home. Ahead the path widens into a field. The field glows under starlight, grasses moving like quiet applause. Fireflies hover above them, pulsing in slow harmony. Their light is not bright enough to wake you. It is just enough to remind you that the world continues to breathe around you while you rest. Lie down here. Feel the earth accept your weight, not as burden, but as reunion. You are exactly where you belong. A traveler returned to the oldest home. The stars above you rearrange themselves in gentle motion. You see shapes you recognize, the long curve of a neck, the sweep of wings, the outline of an ancient fern. They are not constellations fixed forever. They are memories, soft and fluid, moving with the air. Each one fades slowly, the way thought fades when you are ready to sleep. In the dark you hear the faintest echo, not thunder, not voices, but the deep hum of the planet turning. It is the same tone that guided oceans, the same pulse that lifted mountains and let them fall. It tells you that everything is in its right rhythm. You do not need to keep time. Time keeps you. Breathe again. Inhale the cool air of the new world. Exhale the last remnants of the day. There is no more need for watching or wondering. You can let the body loosen completely now. Arms heavy, legs relaxed, eyelids soft. The breath takes care of itself. You imagine, far away, the shadow of the ancient earth, its forests of fern and towering trees, its seas alive with forms both strange and beautiful. That world has folded into this one, and this one will fold into others yet to come. Nothing ever truly ends. Everything only changes its shape of resting. Breeze passes over your face. It smells faintly of rain that has not yet fallen. The sky deepens to velvet. Stars fade one by one. Not because they are gone, but because your eyes have begun to dream their light instead. The last thought before sleep is simple. The earth is vast, and you are part of it. You share its patience, its cycles, its quiet joy. You share its promise of beginning again after every silence. Your breathing slows further. In, long and soft. Out, longer still. Every exhale carries you deeper into rest. The sounds around you blend into a single, low hum. You are floating again, weightless, held in the dark cradle of time. Somewhere, in the place where dream and memory overlap, the dinosaurs still move through ferns. The rivers still shine. The air still glows with ancient warmth. They are safe in the amber of imagination, unharmed, eternal, peaceful. You drift among them, not as visitor, but as one more presence in the grand quiet. You breathe their air, feel their calm, and understand that life, whether scaled, feathered, or human, is all the same music in different keys. The rhythm slows again, the edges of thought blur, even the word sleep begins to dissolve, replaced by the soft hum of being. Now let everything go. Let the mind unspool into the wide dark. Let the breath find its own depth. Let the body sink into warmth. The planet keeps turning. The stars keep singing. You are safe inside the circle of both. If there are dreams, they will be kind. If there is silence, it will be deep and filled with light. You are safe. You are calm. You are ready to rest. Good night. Good night. Good night.